Hello, I'm Amanique. Welcome to the channel. If you were watching the previous two videos, I was just going over some notes that I took down in 2019 and 2020 when I was learning from different teachers and prophets that I came across on YouTube and just living and experiencing my life, putting two together. And I think it's very valuable information. So if you want to go check out how to stay grounded in dealing with conflict, and also the nine gifts of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. So while I was doing that, I came across something I was working on back in 2014, and I was just getting to LA, and I started writing my own projects because that's basically how you can guarantee work is making your own projects. So I became more serious about my writing and what I was saying. And sometimes it takes years because I'm actually living the experience so that I'm able to write about it in an authentic way, um, with care and a degree of excellence. When I'm speaking about these things, I can. It's not just a copy and paste for me. I'm legitimately going through all the trials and all that thing. So anyway, this was called State of Black America, Part 1, to 2014. Ruled by the media, but look behind the cameras. Jewish ownership, miseducated on the quality of our skin. We built society economically from our blood and strength. Can't be upset with them though. European settlers hiding the truth of who we are and how we come to be. The scariest part is that it is still affecting us 1,000 years later. Ashamed to be who we are naturally, wanting to fit in so bad, we allow oppressors to get rich from our inherited talents, from dance, art, mathematics, and medical knowledge. Now, our communities are suffering from drug use, poverty, and homicide. Miseducated that we are inferior, miseducated that we are contributed nothing to the world. There's people out there who I just want to go back to my early 20s and how much ignorance I lived through of my own people making fun that I wanted to wear my hair natural or calling me a nerd because I read books. Like it was a lot of psychological warfare in my 20s before I got to understand that some people are legitimately just raised different than you. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you stand firm in your truth and what you know and your knowledge and what you've learned and share it with a pure heart without pushing it on people, it's fine. But I did live through a time where I was made fun of because of my so-called pro-blackness, but I'm literally just black. I'm not trying to be superior. I'm just bringing out the evidence of reality and the truth of what majority of black people that live with standards know about. The writers and the astronomers and the mathematicians and the beautiful black culture that we have. There are so many people out there that think black people have no culture whatsoever. So that was what a lot of my 20s dealt with. All right, back to it. Family structure destroyed from welfare, single parent homes, not many fathers around to be the foundation of the community, women losing their feminine side trying to play both roles. Now, that line right there is something that people really had an issue with because a lot of women feel like I'm a strong woman, I can do it on my own. But why would you want to do it on your own? I think women deserve to be feminine and soft because a man can handle the tough things. And that's what being a leader is being able to deal with the tough things so that Your family, your loved ones, those who look up to you, those who depend on you, have an easier life. And that's the whole beauty of family structure, because even the daughter of the family has a responsibility. The son has a responsibility. The wife is the most important piece that needs protecting. So when women are out here vulnerable and not protected, it creates an issue in society, and we can see it unfolding now with all these gender wars and stuff like that. And that's how I was thinking. All right, let's continue. Independent by force because being submissive, a thing of the past. Yeah, I remember growing up and hearing women say, I ain't being submissive to no man. I ain't. And I understand that logic when the man isn't stable. Why would you be submissive to a man who isn't respectful, stable, considerate, responsible? Why would you be submissive to a man like that? So I understood the psychology behind I don't need a man. Because why would you need a man if the man isn't playing the role of a protector, a guider, a leader? And when you find that man and you naturally submit and you feel safe, you can really lean into that and be like, this is what submissive is. It's not something that is asked for, it's something that naturally came through you because you felt safe. And that's it. It's that simple. It's nothing to argue about. Either you feel safe or you don't. Community of miseducation. Beautiful color of skin. Why can't we feel the power in our history? Victories in some battles, but a whole new wave of trouble of today. It's very complex issues happening today from the breakdown of the family. See, when the breakdown of the family happens at that small level, children begin to identify the conflict between their mother and father, whether they are always fighting or arguing or couldn't come to a common agreement or just couldn't have adult interaction. It was so much beef and chaos in a home that when those children come outside, they project that on other children that may have a good home. And that's what I dealt with. I dealt with people who lived in that chaos in their home, come outside projecting that there is no such thing as a healthy family. There is no such thing as a dad being in the home. I had to deal with that with my peers. And we were children having these conversations. So for adults to think that their behavior isn't affecting their children and us, younger generation, dealing with the effects of you thinking that is real. And now we're here in this time in 2026 seeing all of the veil being lifted. And it just stems right back down to childhood trauma, and how people perceive their parents. Yes, it's that simple. Told our hair is too nappy to manage. Miseducation of beauty. I assume long and straight hair is the correct picture to define good hair. We've had plenty shows about our hair texture and falling in love with that texture, and I've never had that problem. And I don't mean to just boost myself up, but I just never had that issue because I had parents who didn't push that on me, like your hair needs to be straight or you're not going to fit in. We were just ourselves. It wasn't a pressure of society to fit into these things. And especially doing those things to work a job, and you're turning off your whole self to become somebody else to go work for the white man back in the day. That's where all that stems from. We got detached from our actual humanity. And that's scary. That's a crazy thing to have to do just to survive, to let go of your humanity to fit in. And that's why entrepreneurship is very important to us, to be able to grasp our humanity and hold on tight and not having to turn it off every day just to go get some money. I feel like that is selling your soul. I really do feel like that is actually selling your soul when you have to turn on your humanity, your personality, your intelligence just to go amongst a group of people to fit into them to make some money. It's crazy. Cover up the distinguished look of thick and curly hair textures. Are we ashamed to even chemical distort our natural strength of hair to so we don't be ashamed? You can't accept yourself naturally because you were taught to hate yourself from the beginning. I don't expect you to fully understand your beauty if you were taught to hate yourself since the beginning of your life. I know some women who put perms in their 4-year-old daughter's hair. 4 years, and you're chemically straightening their hair because it's too hard for you to manage. And I'm so glad over time we learned that water and oil makes it easier to manage our hair. And all of this has been a lot of unlearning and learning in the past 13 years, 14 years of just allowing people to unlearn without arguing with them. And also allowing people to learn without saying, I told you so. You know, it's like a good balance of let humans evolve, let humans grow, let humans, you know, experience life and to find out what makes them happy instead of what society is just telling them to do. Miseducation of what is acceptable. God's people follow biblical standards. A lot of people will make fun of you for reading the Bible or being a Bible thumper. And I think that's just because those people are just trying to force it down your throat. Believe in God or you're going to go to hell. And that's not what God's people do. God's people live by the biblical standards and live their life as a standard, but they don't go forcing it down somebody. Because if you understood how hard it is for you to make a change in your life, you won't be so forceful making people do it in your time frame. You allow another human to work their salvation out in their time frame. You don't just beat down somebody because they didn't get it the first try, or they're not fully getting the concept because they haven't went through certain life battles. You know what I'm saying? Miseducation of love, lack of male intimacy from a father figure distorts the view of the black man. Lack of male affection passed down from generation to generation confuse the current generations of what is expected. How many baby mamas and fathers is average among the 21st century family structure? I think a lot of that is just that passion you feel when you meet somebody you really dig in. Sometimes logic just it's like the logic is thrown out the window because you just feel that intense connection and you want to feed off of it immediately. It's like you don't have the patience to let it ride out because you fear losing that intense connection. You fear losing it, so you grabs to it and you try to save that connection by any means necessary, even if it's detrimental to you and the other person. And that is why self-awareness is important when you out here dating, meeting people. Be patient. Allow someone to show you who they are. I've learned this. That was majority of my 20s was really just allowing people to show me who they are and making decisions based on their actions and their behavior. Miseducation of the beauty of sex. Is it cherished anymore? Rapped and sung about so much, the standard of becoming one with someone has sunk. Women disrespected to the point of no return. Acceptable to be a bitch, hoe, jump down. Taught that the black man should impregnate every woman he sees to be considered a man. A plantation lesson passed down to today. That the young black man should be a player slash a pimp, so miseducated that we accept it as true. See, a lot of these behaviors, as far as sleeping around with all these women, making all these babies, all these broken homes, a lot of that does stem back to plantation living and how they breeded women and used men, black men, as just sex tools to breed them more slaves. All of this abuse and trauma we're still dealing with and still unpacking. So it's very disrespectful when people say, it happened so long ago. Won't you just get over it? We are trying to get over it. But we have to heal. We have to identify the issues first to get through it. That's it. We're not asking other people to be guilty. We're not asking for other people to feel bad for slavery and what America built its back on. We're not asking you. We're not asking you to feel guilty. What we're asking is to identify how your behavior today still adds on to those problems that stem from being treated like an animal, being treated as half or less than a human, for being discarded as property and not a person that should be cherished, but a business structure. We have to understand that slavery was a business structure. Like now they replaced the machines to do what black people were doing, but they were treating us far worse than any other slavery or indentured servant was going on throughout the years and throughout the world. This is by far the worst crime to humanity. So we have to have empathy for us who are still dealing with the aftermath of such a traumatic human situation and um, just an era of disrespect and fear of people retaliating. A lot of this Jim Crow, racism, redlining, blocking people from getting jobs and loans, all that stems back to slavery because it stems back to the fear of us retaliating. But the thing is, we don't want to retaliate. We just want to be humans living in peace in our God given right to walk this earth and be the highest versions of ourselves and to be treated with respect. That's it. Miseducation of education. Public school system. Another way to control the growth of Black America. The inferior of the country. Dumb down the children. Make them convinced they have a learning disability. Just then, their desire to learn will be distracted. Hear that again. Make them convinced they have a learning disability. Just then, their desire to learn will be distracted. There was a time where I was in school and I knew I was a class clown, and they wanted to put me on Ritalin or whatever that medication is to calm me down. I knew exactly what I was doing. There was nothing wrong with me. But I do have other family members and other people that I know that put their children on that Ritalin to calm them down. And it's like, are we even supposed to be in those conditions trying to learn? Like, who's to say that that's even the best way for children to learn? I think children need to be outside. I think they need to experience learning by experiencing life. I think children don't really get the concept of sitting down reading a book at such young ages. I think it needs to be more activity, more hands-on, more play, more, you know what I'm saying? It's easier to learn that way. We can see that it's easier for children to learn things through music and through sound. So those are just little changes that we can make to make society more capable of evolving and growing in the right direction. New age parent, children having children, young souls wanting to grow mature so fast without embracing the years of youth. Since when was it cool to start a family at 16, barely growing in your adult mind? Responsibilities that you fail to meet due to lack of empirical knowledge. Years away from understanding yourself, put on hold to develop another young mind. People don't understand how dangerous this is. Regardless if you grow and you 40 now and your child late 20s, 30s, I mean, whatever the young youth age is, just to know that you were that young developing a child. Just think about you right now, what you were thinking at 16 compared to now, and you were teaching that to a child. So it is, and it's even though it was normal at some point to have a child that young, in today's society with everything going on, you need maturity to raise a child in the society right now. So these are just thoughts that I had in 2014 in North Hollywood, California. And I wrote them down, and it's just a full circle moment. It's a full circle moment. And I just wanted to share.